This week we're talking about the prefrontal cortex, the PFC, to make it short. We've already talked about the survival brain. The prefrontal cortex is in here, right? It's the newest part of our brain. It is where we really want to spend most of our time in, because that is where problem solving, logic, reasoning, dreaming, future plans, planning things, goals is. That's how we move forward in our life, is when we access that part of our brain. Only 20% of the population has regular access to that brain. According to Shirzad, their positive intelligence ability to access that part of their brain is available to them. They have command which one they're in. And the way they got there was by developing that muscle, if you will. Because most of the population, like we talked in the last video, 80%, have very weak PFCs. They spend most of their time in their survival brain. So we want to be able to, on command, and regularly stay in our PFC. That's how we move forward in our life. That's how we create goals and we actually go and achieve them. That is how we evolve and become the highest version of us, live in our full potential. So how do we do that? How do we start accessing that part of our brain, our zone of genius, if you will? We have to start developing it. We have to start developing our ability to control and get there. That part of our brain is also connected to the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest, the digest. It's the calm part of our nervous system. So if you think about us again from our prehistoric age, the sympathetic nervous system was meant for us to be triggered for fight and flight and freeze and fawn. The parasympathetic, so it was meant to go out of one and back into the other regularly. We don't do that. We typically stay now in one of them all the time, which is our sympathetic, that fight or flight. Especially if you have chronic trauma. It creates a nervous system dysregulation in us, which means that we just stay in that sympathetic most of the time and we don't switch back over. So since the body, right, when we are in the survival brain, it hijacks our connection to our body. We are just in a heady space, only with our thoughts, only just racing thoughts. Like you've been in it, like where your thoughts are racing or you're hyper focused on one thing, negative thoughts, negative emotions, but we're disconnected from our body. That is when we're in our survival brain. So the fastest route to get out of that and get back into that PFC is to go to the body first. To do that, the body has to understand that it's safe. If the body can trigger signals to the brain that it's safe, the brain is then willing, because it hears those signals from the body first, is willing to move up to the PFC because the body is signaling to it, we are safe. So if you think about it, the fastest way to access our PFC is through our senses. Touch, taste, vision, smell, hearing. That's how we kind of bypass the system. If we can hijack in, get into our senses, that's such a hard word to say, get into our senses, ground into our body then will very quickly communicate to the brain, hey, we're safe, it's fine, which then will allow it to move into the PFC. So Shirzad Camine, the positive intelligence creator program that I went through, talks about doing PQ reps, positive intelligence reps. So I'm going to stick with his terminology. To do PQ reps takes it's a minimum of 10 seconds to 2 minutes. Super short, super fast. His suggestion is 100 reps a day. That is how, right? Like we don't go to the gym and do one bicep curl and be like, yeah, I'm jacked. We go to the gym and we do 3 sets of 20. And we do that over time. That's how we develop the muscle. Same thing with that PFC. Got to develop the muscle. I'm not suggesting you do 100 reps. If you want to do 100 reps to get there faster, fantastic. 3 breaths equal a rep. So keep that in mind. What you're going to do is you're going to get 5 options. And I'm going to explain each option as I go, okay? But I'm going to give you an overview. So 1 is breath, 1 is visual PQs, 1 is auditory PQs, 1 of them is touch PQs, and 1 of them is taste PQs, okay? Smell's not really, like, he didn't have that, but I think it could be a possible opportunity as well. I know it is. Yes, sorry, processing that out. So let's dive in the first one, okay? Breath. Breath is typically the easiest one for us to do. You want to practice these throughout the day, okay? Have some kind of marker reminder. You could put a reminder in your phone, do your PQ reps. You could just set every time I go to the bathroom, I'm going to do PQ reps. Every time I take a drink, I'm going to do PQ reps. Every time I pick up my phone to check something, I have to do PQ reps. Something that's going to give you reminders to do PQ reps, okay? That way you can strengthen the brain, and when your survival brain wants to hijack you, you've built enough muscle to command it to go out of it and go back into the PFC. Some things, right, like a traumatic event may be like a 175-pound weight, and you're currently working out with 25s. So of course, the survival brain is going to win at that point. But if you have a challenge that's triggering the survival brain, it's only a 40-pound weight, and you've been using a 75, it's going to be much easier for you to pull out of that and pull into your PFC, okay? So breathing is the first and easiest. If you think about it, a lot of us chest breathe. You know your chest breathing when you can feel your chest rise and fall, right? That is also how we breathe when we have been threatened. We go into very shallow, fast, deep, shallow breaths. We're chest breathing. When we're running, most of us are chest breathing. So anytime we're chest breathing, we are signaling to the brain and the nervous system, there's a threat. Something's wrong. So then it pushes us into the sympathetic nervous system. Does that make sense? Yeah. So when we can go into deep belly breaths, diaphragmatic breathing, that signals to the brain, oh, we must be safe. Because if we weren't safe, we wouldn't be taking deep breaths. We would be up here breathing, because up here breathing means that we're not safe. So when we take these deep belly breaths, we're triggering the vagus nerve to then move the nervous system into a parasympathetic state, rest and digest. Because that's the only way we'd be breathing deep is if we were safe. So, doing sets of 3 deep breaths. Really feeling the breath go in the body. Feeling the temperature of the breath as it goes in the nose and out the nose. 3 of those equals 1 rep. So a lot of us can access, like when we're feeling in that, in the survival brain, sitting down and doing 5 to 10 to 15 reps of sets of 3 breaths. That's an option, okay? Option 2, you can do visual PQ reps. Visual is that you would have an object, let's say my phone. I have little flowers here. I would turn it over and I would spend time breathing deeply, but looking at my phone, looking at those flowers, looking at the detail, the intricacy of them, the colors, the texture, really just staring off and making my brain be focused on what I'm staring at. That is another way. The other way is auditory. So we sit, we close our eyes, we go into our breathing, and we listen. We listen for noises in the distance. Making our brain stay focused. It's going to, I'll tell you this in a minute. Listening to noises in the distance and listening to the noises getting closer. Listening to the closest noise you hear. It's going to be your breath. listening to that, being focused and present. Okay? Your brain is going to wander. It is. It's going to wander while you do these PQ reps. There's no shame. There's no judgment. Nothing's gone wrong. You're not doing it wrong. You don't have a brain. It's just that's how our brain has been trained. And we are learning how to command it. So when it wanders, we bring it back. Oh, we're looking at this object. We're listening. We bring it back with love, commanding it back into presence. So then we do auditory. We could also do touch, and I love this one because I'm a kinesthetic learner. So it's rubbing your fingers together, or rubbing your fingers together, rubbing your fingers together. I like this. And you're very present and focused on rubbing your fingers. You're feeling the ridges in your fingers. You're feeling your fingerprint, right? Like all those little ridges and wrinkles and texture of your hands. You're like rubbing them, feeling it, being present. When my mind wants to wander, I bring it back, feeling my fingers, feeling the ridges, the textures. And that for me really calms me down. You could also connect with your toes. Feel every toe. Wiggle them. Feel each and every one of them. Okay. So then we go to taste PQ reps. And this would be like taking a moment, like at lunch or breakfast or dinner, closing your eyes and tasting the food. Feeling the food on your tongue. Feeling the texture of it. Tasting the flavors of it. Feeling it move around in your mouth as you chew it. Right? That would be taste. Your brain's going to wander, gently pull it back. So we've done visual, we've done touch, we've done breath, we've done taste, we've done hearing. I think smell would also be one, like having a smell you like, an essential oil, and like closing your eyes and like smelling that smell and like experiencing that, all the essence of that smell. That could be an option as well. Again, these are short, 10 seconds to 2 minutes with grace, knowing your brain is going to wander and you're going to command it back into your body. Command it into focusing. This is basically what they're saying mindfulness is, right? This is being mindful and present. We're trying to get the body, we're showing the body that it is safe, so then it will signal to the brain, it is safe, moving into the parasympathetic nervous system, moving into the PFC, the prefrontal cortex. I would practice these every day if possible. You could do it, like have some form. I think there may be some PQ reps things on his website, the website that you guys took the quiz on, or you could put it to a meditation, post-it notes, reminders, start working those muscles so we can command our brain to go, we're safe, we're fine, we're moving into our prefrontal cortex so I can problem solve, I can show up how I want to. Using that intuitive brain, that higher sage brain, that's the essence of us, who we really are. That's where we want to get to. What else do I want to say about that? About PQ reps and our mind wandering and drifting. There's just no judgment around it. Like, I think that's people's hardest time with meditation, is they judge each other for their mind, they judge themselves for their mind wandering. It is just part of it. It's a part of going to the gym, not being great at something, continually showing up, continually getting reps in and getting better and better. The more we do that, the more we command our brain, the more we feel empowered and start becoming more of the essence of us instead of being the survival hijacked us, if that makes sense. I hope this is really helpful. If you want to talk about them in your sessions, we can definitely do that. But I encourage you guys to start practicing your PQ reps.